Hi everyone, it's Emma, otherwise known as Gazette Girly, and either welcome or welcome back to my channel where I talk about zines, which are handmade magazines. So today's video we're going to be going through together the zines I have made in March. Now overall March, continuing on from everything that went down in February, such as Willow being put down, me having to get checked for ovarian cysts and getting really bad injured and everything else. Yeah, March has just also not been that good. There's been some moments where there's been like really positive experiences, like moments I have so much like gratitude for, but I've also just been in a bit of a depressive episode. I feel like I've been like very close to reaching quite bad burnout as well. I'm on like holiday at the moment. I booked time off work, which I feel like was very needed. However, because of the time I've booked off work and the fact that I do a 4-day work week, and we also have 2 Easter bank holidays coming up, my contract ends on the 2nd of May, so I have like officially around 10 actual days left of my job, and I've also been dealing with so many job rejections, which has not been helping with the depression I've been experiencing, and in general like I've just been feeling kind of like blah, and that's definitely been impacting my creativity. I've tried to like come up with some like non-zine related creative projects I want to do as well, so I can do like a range of things and not feel too much pressure to put like too much effort into the zines I'm making, and still like allow it to be a fun creative outlook without going too much into the professional zine maker realm with like every single zine I make, and just allowing myself to make art for the sake of making art, and allowing myself to make bad art as well, and like zines that I don't necessarily have to share if I don't want to. And just like allowing myself to try and find joy in the creative process again rather than the final outcome, and just being in like a moment where it's like I kind of need to meditate but I cannot be still or alone with my thoughts right now, so let's channel this through crafting. So yeah, that's kind of like a summary of what's been going on in March and how I've been feeling about how I've been feeling about the month of March. So anyway, let's now get into the zines I've made. So the first zine I made was this one here, and it's called Smear the Fear. I made this because I sat down with myself and I was like, we are just gonna make a zine about something. It's 2 weeks into March, we haven't done anything, let's just create. And around maybe under a year ago, but kind of like spring last year, I finally got my smear test, cervical screening, pap smear, whatever you want to call it, and I had heard a lot of horror stories about this, and I also have vaginismus, and I was so nervous about getting this done. Like I literally thought I was going to pass out on the way to this appointment, and I thought I was going to throw up. Like my anxiety was probably the highest it had been in a very long time, but it ended up being completely fine, and I wanted to create a zine to share my positive experience of this. Thus I made Smear the Fear. So this is a mini zine that I just like hand wrote in, and then drew a vulva, well, attempted to draw a vulva at the end of. And it's just a documentation kind of zine, I guess more of a zine about my experience. I had put getting my smear test off for over a year, and last year at 26 finally decided to book it in. Prior to this I had had 2 transvaginal ultrasounds which were awful. I also have vaginismus, meaning my pelvic floor contracts without my control, which makes medical exams like internal ultrasounds extremely painful. I was terrified to get my smear test done and was so anxious I almost fainted on the way to my appointment. For my appointment I did a hip/pelvic floor opening yoga routine. I made sure I had a fidget toy on me, and I wore a really comfy maxi skirt. The nurse who did my test was incredible and extremely supportive. I let her know how nervous I was and about my vaginismus. She said if it doesn't happen today or I need to stop at any point to let her know, and that even just showing up for the appointment was an achievement itself. She let me use my fidget toy and explained they have different size tests and that she would use the smallest one. This was the least painful procedure I'd experienced and took less than a minute. The nurse Roxanne was very empathetic, respectful, and made me feel so safe the entire time. She mentioned that a lot of women don't ever attend their smear test due to the fear around it, even though it's an extremely important health checkup and can be life-saving. I wanted to share my positive experience as encouragement, and I understand that not everyone has had a positive smear test experience, which should never be the case. And then at the end, along with my vulva drawing, I wrote "Your health matters." So yeah, upon reflection, I feel like the way I've written this doesn't make too much sense, but you know what? It's a zine is a zine is a zine is a zine, and that again, like getting over the idea that everything you have to write in a zine has to be like really well structured, really well written. You can just like get a pen, make a zine, put a pen down and just see what words come out. So yeah, that is my first zine of March. My second zine of March is this zine here, and it's called Fuck This. I had an experience where I was also on my way back from a yoga class, and I was just on the bus. It was quite an empty bus, and then these two very drunk men, I don't know if they knew each other, got on and basically harassed me. And I was really pissed off, but I ended up going into freeze mode and then feeling really mad at myself because I kind of froze in the moment and just ignored them instead of calling out their really fucking atrocious behavior. And I kind of combined this with my experience of like street harassment and catcalling with kind of the depression and like self-doubt I was feeling, and this is just what happened. This isn't bound yet either, but hopefully it will stay together. So on the first page I wrote "Get it together," and then I also on the second page wrote a bit about the experience I had on the bus. On the bus back from yoga, two older men got on a few stops after me. They kept eyeing me up and down, they told me to smile, they winked at me. I went into freeze mode. I wanted to say, why would I ever smile for pervy old men and tell them to fuck off? Yeah, I shut down and went non-verbal and just cried about it after. And then in quotes, I wrote, "Weak women disgust me," which is kind of like, I guess, a bit of internalized misogyny I deal with, because also I've not just had men, but I've also had other women tell me I'm too soft or too sensitive. And then I feel like I have this internalized monologue that a lot of people don't like me because of being sensitive. And then on the third page, I wrote things like dramatic, too shy, too soft, weird, freak, sensitive, dumb, strange, over the top, be better, selfish, which is all things men have said to me. And then the next page, I drew these really weird illustrations that honestly aren't very good, and just wrote all void on the inside because that is honestly how I've been feeling at the moment. And then this is like a sort of hill and sun backdrop where I wrote in these bubbles like boys will be boys, and that's just how life is. And then underneath it's like, let me leave my house and go outside in peace. And then these pages just say not enough, and then that's all I did with Fuck This. But this was honestly me just really needing a safe space to channel everything I had been experiencing and just let some emotions out. And this is just what happened when I did that. Is this the best zine I've made? No. Is it a zine that I needed to make? Yeah. Now the last zine I made in March was of course at one of the Artisan workshops, and this was like a lot more cheery and a lot more like uplifting compared to like the other zines I made, though actually I guess it's like uplifting, but this is more of like a fun collage, my usual style kind of zine, and it is just called Spring Vibes. And on the cover we've got like a picnic basket, you've got like these tulips, you've got the smiley face, there's butterfly, you know, it's the spring vibes. And so one of my spreads is literally falling out, I need to restick it. But anyway, here it says art feeds the mind. But wait a second, oh no, there goes that page. This lifts up, and on this page it says create radical play, and on this page it did have this stuck down, so we'll pretend that's still there, and it says let's dance under the sun, because what is more spring than allowing yourself time for radical play and creativity and dancing under the sun with your friends. And also, like, I wanted to play with the idea that art feeds the mind. It's like kind of finding inspiration for new beginnings and new ideas from like art that already exists, and just like taking on like knowledge from the world around you and just being inspired by what is already out there too, in like a spring new beginnings kind of way. And then here I wrote chasing the sun, and this is just like a random little collage spread I did with like the materials in the workshop. I kind of wanted to give like a vintage floral kind of vibes and make it feel like very cute and decorative. And then this is what I did at home because I didn't finish this within the workshop, and these are just two random spreads, and like this opens up and it says let's get away, because it's kind of nice to have a spring holiday. and these are like kind of spring holiday vibes. We've got like a fruit stamp, some lemonade, a movie ticket, and then this page, I believe, yes it does. No, that is the wrong opening up, god damn it. Now this page also opens up. I basically folded this really weirdly. We learned a new fold. I cannot remember for the life of me what it is called, but I will find out and I will let you know either in the description or comments. But I did the fold wrong. Well, I did the fold right, but I kind of got the layout wrong, so yeah. But I also made this garden within my zine. So there's loads of random like little hiding spaces in this zine, I guess, like kind of like, oh, okay, this makes more sense actually. So on the Chasing the Sun page, then you open it up, and then you close it down, and then you flip over, and then there is this, and there that page goes. Yeah, but this was more like just kind of fun at a workshop. I wanted to like take any pressure I felt like I was putting on myself and like get rid of it and be like, I can be as chaotic as I want with this zine. This isn't gonna be a good zine. This is just gonna be a zine I make in the moment. And it was a really, really fun workshop. I was very inspired by everyone around me. The materials are always really good, and we did a really fun exercise at the start of the workshop where we kind of wrote about what spring is like for us in terms of like physical and mental aspects. So how would you like physically embody spring, and then how could you mentally embody spring? That's what I wanted to play about with this idea of like picnic, like somatic dancing, like going on holiday and just like taking in new things and like getting out of your comfort zone, while also feeling like very floral, like free and fun, like all those F words, I guess. So anyway, I'm going to head off now because I feel like I've rambled on so much in this video, but please let me know in the comments what zines you made throughout the month of March, and thank you so much for watching.